Hi, it's Mary. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a Q&A video. I hope you enjoy and learn something new about me. So my best friend Krista asked, what does dance mean to you and why? Dance has been a big part of my life for about 15, 16 years. I started dancing later in life when I was 13. I did gymnastics before that. I love gymnastics, had a kind of rough experience with that. It's a long story, maybe I'll get to in another video. But when I started dancing, I went to a Christian studio where the dance was focused on worshiping God. And I remember the first time that we were just spontaneously following my dance teacher. And it was just like this revelation moment of, wow, this is an incredible way for me to connect with God and to worship Him that I hadn't experienced before. It's also an amazing form of exercise. I love the discipline and the hard work of dance. Dancers are some of the most hardworking people I know. Almost all the dancers I know are overachievers. I know lots of dancers who have like PhDs and are super intelligent, and that's not me, but there are a lot of those people out there. Yeah, there are so many things I love about dance, but those are just a few. My friend Laura asked, what are you looking forward to most this coming year working with Arrows? Probably, in general, deepening my relationship with God. We spend a lot of time working on dance and technique, but we spend so much time working on training our hearts and our minds and our spirits and studying God's Word and learning a lot from our leaders. I'm just excited to grow more and see what God has for me, because I know there's more there. And also deepening relationships with people from last year who are returning and making new friends for new people who will be there. Hopefully we'll get to go to some new places. I'm not sure where we're going this year, but I'm excited to see where God takes us this year. Kyle, Laura's husband, asked, when is the in-store Goodwill haul tips and tricks video going to be happening? And the answer to that question is hopefully very soon, whenever I have time to do that. And he also asked, where's your In My Feelings challenge video? Which the answer to that is it's just non-existent, and it's gonna stay that way because I embarrass myself enough as it is. I don't need to challenge myself to embarrass myself, so I think we'll just keep it that way. Jasmine asks, what's something you would completely get rid of from the world today and why? This one's kind of a serious one, kind of like a little bit joking, but I would get rid of Facebook arguments. I hate getting on Facebook and seeing people I care about arguing with each other and fighting. My non-confrontational self can't stand it, so that's one thing I would get rid of. There's a lot like more serious, deeper things, but that's one of them. Jenna asked, do you believe in love at first sight? And not to be like a dream crusher, but I would say no, I do not believe in love at first sight. I do believe in attraction at first sight because that happens all the time, and I do know people that have seen someone and been like, I'm gonna marry that person, and they actually did, so that happens. But I think, in my opinion, love is something that develops over time and through sacrifice and through really getting to know someone, and you can't really fully love someone just by seeing them. That's my opinion. Mariah asked a few questions. So what are a couple of pieces of advice you would give to your 21, 22-year-old self? Put Jesus first, as cliche as that sounds. That's the most important relationship, and that should be the focus all the time. Knowing like really good and healthy boundaries and sticking to those in relationships. Knowing when to let go and give it to God and when to hold on and push through something. Still don't have that figured out, but it's good advice, right? Taking time for yourself and doing things that make you a happier, healthier person, I guess. Self-care, if you will. I like going out and doing things, going to coffee shops, going shopping by myself because I'm an introvert. Exercising, journaling, whatever things help you feel happier and healthier and closer to God. Just taking care of yourself, I guess. How have you changed since you first became a Christian? Well, I think I first prayed to receive Jesus when I was like 3 or 4, so it's hard to remember like a time when Jesus wasn't a part of my life, but I definitely started growing in my personal relationship with Him and making it my own when I was, 12, teenager. One thing that I look back on that has changed a lot since I was younger is becoming more free from fear and timidity, because I was like the most fearful child, most timid, most shy, anxious. Like, I had some of the most weird, strangest fears. I remember one time I was afraid to go outside and lay still on my trampoline because I thought vultures were going to come down and eat me because they would think I was dead. So I had a lot of weird fears like that. I was the child at sleepovers who would call my parents and like have an anxiety attack and make them come pick me up in the middle of the night. God has completely transformed me and changed me from the little girl that I was, even like tween, young teen that I was, to who I am now. Traveling the world, sleeping in strange places, strange countries, yeah, like doing crazy things that maybe aren't always the safest, but just trusting God and knowing that He's there and there's nothing to fear. That's not to say that I don't have any fears, because I certainly do, but that has definitely changed a lot, and that's one of the biggest things I've seen God do in my life. She also asked, if you stole an animal from the zoo, what would that animal be? I'm really not an animal person, so my first response would be none. Maybe a stuffed animal. What is something you wish you were good at that you were not? Well, I can sing, like kind of like I'm like a choir singer, not like a soloist, but I really, really, really wish I was a stronger singer. That's something I would love to be better at, because I love to sing, but I'm just not the greatest singer, unfortunately. Holly asked, what made you want to dance? Like I mentioned earlier in a question about dance, I did gymnastics before I did dance and had a kind of bad experience with that. I mean, it was great, but to make a really long story short, I was on a middle school competition team and wasn't allowed to compete because I was homeschooled. Found that out like the day of the first meet, and it was just a heartbreaking experience from there throughout the season for my 12-year-old self. So I ended up quitting, and my sister had taken a dance class and she really enjoyed it. I decided I would sign up for a class. I had actually taken like a semester of dance when I was like 6, but didn't stick with it. So I decided to take a class that year, loved it, stuck with it ever since. Joy asked, what's your earliest memory from childhood or babyhood? I do not have a very good memory. I don't remember a lot of things in detail about my childhood. I guess some of the things I remember the most are playing Barbies with my sisters when we were younger. We had the craziest Barbie family. Like, none of my friends did this, but we always like had this ongoing saga where all the Barbies kept their same names, they kept their same lives, like it just like continued each time where we left off. It was pretty great. Desiree coming in with 5 questions. Awesome. Thank you, Desiree. What is your favorite Bible passage and why? A kind of life verse for me is Psalm 27:4. I actually choreographed a dance this past year. There's a bug on me. Based off of this verse. One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. That's not the version I meant to look up, but it's fine. The reasoning behind that being one of my favorite verses is just because that's kind of always been my life goal, is just to be close to God and to spend time in his presence, and that ultimately, of course, there's a lot of other good things to pursue and desire in life, but that's the one thing I want the most, is to be close to him and to gaze on the beauty of the Lord. And yeah. Next, she asked, where's your most favorite place you've traveled to? A very hard question. I have such a hard time picking favorites. I would say, like, vacation-wise, would definitely have to be Puerto Rico. I went there a couple years ago, and it was a small island called Vieques Island off of the mainland. It was the most beautiful place I've ever been. The beaches were like gorgeous white sand, turquoise, crystal clear water, that type of thing. It was amazing. Another favorite place I've been to, strangely enough, because I'm not a fan of the cold, was Switzerland. I got to go to the Swiss Alps Oh my goodness, it was so beautiful. I just remember we went up like this, things that like a ski lift kind of deal, whatever those are called. I remember getting off and just looking around, and I like started tearing up, because I was just like, wow, God is so incredible. And it was, yeah, I can't say enough about how beautiful it was. Where would you still like to travel to? Everywhere. I would still love to go to like some of the national parks like Yellowstone. I would really like to go to Banff. I think that's a national park in Canada. My Canadian friends, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I would love to see the Northern Lights. That's on my bucket list. All these like more cold places. What is wrong with me? I'd love to see Greece and Italy. I've always wanted to go to like the Maldives or some like really, you know, remote Bora Bora, something like that, you know, island in the middle of nowhere that's just gorgeous. Bahamas. Everywhere. Coffee or tea? Coffee. Hands down. Hot, cold, black, white, sweet, bitter. I don't discriminate. It's all good. Tell an embarrassing story. One that happened recently, which was so funny. I really wish I had a video of it, but I don't. This past year for Easter, the dance company I'm a part of, we performed in Arkansas at a church for their Easter morning service. And we were doing this piece. It was like a brand new piece that we had just learned. There was this pirouette in it that was kind of difficult. And I was turning, you know, worshiping, everything's great. And I went into this turn and my feet literally just slipped out from under me and I landed on my butt like smack in front of everybody. I was right in the front. I just got back up and pretended like nothing happened, but it was really funny. It was a good memory. Every dancer has one or two of those, I think. Alright, that's all the questions for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below if you learned something new about me or if you have any more questions, and I will answer them eventually.